Nein, schon. Das sind gute Neuigkeiten für dich. Gute Neuigkeiten. Du musst mir nur etwas vortragen.
Bitte voll.
Ja. 2.
Ist das eine gute Neuigkeit?
Ja, das ist
Wieso
gut.
das?
Ja, weil im Wahnstag siehst und er hat sein eigenes Programm gemacht.
Also das muss ich...
Du kannst einfach noch die anderen 2 Fragen hinterlassen.
Mit dem Körper?
Und überall noch ein Continuum, wo er leicht abmacht.
No,
Das
also...
soll ich sagen. Okay. Das ist nicht.
So.
Also eigentlich solltest du jetzt noch 29 und 28 kommen. Gut, ist okay.
Also ja, den Sanskrit auch. Und Wort für Wort übersetzen. Und dann...
Für Sanskrit übersetzen. Ja.
Das ist hart.
Dann probieren wir schon in Deutsch.
Also...
Dann probieren wir in Deutsch.
Nein.
Englisch, ja?
Ja.
Nein.
Also, wer ist nicht? Aber im Buch könnte
Sie bringt es.
Ah, ja.
Oh, you can play Karata. That's very close.
Ja, als Karte sieht an. Das Harmonium ist diese Baum. Ja, das ist so. Close, no?
Their personal movement is different. Mic, you have to take the mic.
Not so long.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 I have prepared verse 30, but now I have to read also 28, 29, and 20 and 30. That is a lot of many pages. Okay, I try my best. Tamiva manasa grinan babuva pramadottama anantaram vidarbhashya Rajasinghasya Vishmani. King Puranjana gave up his body while remembering his wife, and consequently in his next life he became a very beautiful and well-situated woman. He took his next birth as the daughter of King Vidarbha in the very house of the king. Purport. Since King Puranjana thought of his wife at the time of death, he attained the body of a woman, and in his next verse, this verifies the following verse in Bhagavad Gita: Yam yam vat ismaram bhavam jayati ante kalevaram tam tam me vaiti konteya sadatat bhava bhavita. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, such state he will attain without fail. When a living entity is accustomed to think of a particular subject matter or become absorbed in a certain type of thought, he will think of the subject at the time of death. At the time of death, one will think of the subject that has occupied his life while he was awake, lightly sleeping or dreaming, or while he was deeply sleeping. After falling from the association of the Supreme Lord, the living entity thus transmigrates from one bodily form to another according to nature's course, until finally attains the human form. If he is absorbed in material thoughts and ignorant of spiritual life, and if he does not take shelter under the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, who solves all questions of birth and death, he will become a woman in the next life, especially if he thinks of his wife. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Karmana Daiva Nitrena, a living entity acts piously and impiously, and sometimes in both ways. All actions are taken into account, and the living entity is offered a new body by his superiors. Also, King Puranjana was overly attached to his wife. He nonetheless performed many pious fruitive activities. Consequently, although he took the form of a woman, he was given a chance to be the daughter of a powerful king, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 6:41. Prapya punya kritam lokan uchitva sashvati sama sujinam srimatam ge yoga brashto vichayate. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planet of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. If a person falls from the path of Bhakti Yoga, God realization, due to attachment to fruitive activities, philosophical speculation or mystic yoga, he is given a chance to take birth in a high and rich family. The higher authorities appointed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead thus render justice to the living entity according to the living entity's desires. Also, King Puranjana was overly absorbed in thoughts of his wife and thus became a woman. He took birth in the family of a king, due to his previous pious activities. The conclusion is that all our activities are taken into consideration before we are awarded another body. Narada Muni therefore advised Vyasadeva that one should take to Krishna consciousness, devotional service, and abandon all ordinary occupational duties. This advice was also given by Lord Krishna himself. Although a devotee may fall from the path of spiritual consciousness, he will nonetheless attain a human body in the home of a devotee or a rich man. In this way, one can resume his devotional service. Now, text 29. Upayeme viryapanam vaidarbhim malayadvacham yudinirishya rachanyam pandyapara puranjanai. It was fixed that Vaidarbhi, the daughter of King Vidarbha, was to be married to a very powerful man, Malayadvaj, an inhabitant of the Pandu country. After conquering other princes, he married the daughter of King Vidarbha. It is customary among Kshatriyas for a princess to be offered under certain conditions. For instance, Draupadi was offered in marriage to one who could pierce a fish with an arrow simply by seeing the reflection of that fish. Krishna married one of his queens after conquering 7 strong bulls. The Vedic system is for a daughter of a king to be offered under certain conditions. Vaidarbhi, the daughter of Vidarbha, was offered to a great devotee and powerful king. Since King Malayadvaj was both a powerful king and a great devotee, he fulfilled all the requirements. The name Malayadvaj signifies a great devotee who stands as firm as a Malaya hill through his propaganda, makes other devotees similarly as firm. Such a Mahabhagavat can prevail over the opinions of all others. A strong devotee makes propaganda against all other spiritual conceptions, namely jnana, karma, and yoga. With his devotional flag unfurled, he always stands fast to conquer other conceptions of transcendental realization. Whenever there is an argument between a devotee and a non-devotee, the pure, strong devotee comes out victorious. The word Pandya comes from the word Panda, meaning knowledge. Unless one is highly learned, he cannot conquer non-devotional conceptions. The word Para means transcendental and Pura means city. The Parapura is Vaikuntha, the kingdom of God. And the word Jaya refers to one who can conquer. This means that a pure devotee who is strong in devotional service and who has conquered all non-devotional conceptions can also conquer the kingdom of God. In other words, one can conquer the kingdom of God, Vaikuntha, only by rendering devotional service. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Ajita, meaning that no one can conquer him, but a devotee, by strong devotional service and sincere attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can easily conquer him. Lord Krishna is fear personified for everyone, but he voluntarily agreed to fear the stick of Mother Yashoda Krishna. Mother Yashoda. Krishna, God, cannot be conquered by anyone but his devotee. Such a devotee kindly married the daughter of King Vidarbha. And now, text 30. Tasyam Sarjanayam Chakra
Tasyam Sarjanayam Chakra
Atmajam Asitikshanam
Atmajam Asidekshanam
Yaviyasya Sapta Zutan
Yaviyasa Saptasutam
Sapta Dravida Bubrita.
Sapta Dravida Bubrita
Please read.
Tasyam Sarjanayam Chakra
Tasyam Sarjanayam Chakra
Atmajam Asitikshanam
Atmajam Asitikshanam
Yaviyasa Sapta Sutta
Yaviyasa Sapta Zutan
Sapta Dravida Bhubrita
Sapta Dravida Bubrita
Tasyam Sarjanayam Chakra
Tasyam Sarjanayam Chakra
Atmajam Asitekshanam
Atmajam Asitikshanam
Yaviyasa Saptasutam
Yaviyasa Sapta Zutan
Dravida Bhubritaha
Sapta Dravida Bubrita
Tasyam Sarjanayam Chakra
Tasyam Sarjanayam Chakra
Atmajam Asitekshanam
Atmanam Asitikshanam
Yaviyasa Sapta Sutan
Yaviyasa Sapta Zutan
Sapta Dravida Bhubritaha
Sapta Dravida Bubrita. Mate.
Tasyam Sarjanayam Chakra
Tasyam Sarjanayam Chakra
Atmajam Asitekshanam
Atmajam Asitikshanam
Yaviyasaha Sapta Sutta
Yaviyasa Sapta Zutan
Sapta Dravida Bhubritaha
Sapta Dravida Bubrita
Tasyam Sarjanayam Chakra
Tasyam Sarjanayam Chakra
Atmajam Asitekshanam
Atmajam Asitikshanam
Yaviyasa Sapta Sutta
Yaviyasa Sapta Zutan
Sapta Dravida Bhubrita
Sapta Dravida Bubrita. Now the synonyms. Dasyam,
Tasyam
through her. That's true.
True.
That's through her, actually, yes. Through
True.
her, yes. Sa,
Sa
the king.
the king
Janayam Chakre,
Janayam Chakre
begot.
Begot
Atmacham,
Atmajam
daughter.
Daughter
Asita,
Asita
blue or black.
Blue or black
Ikshanam,
Ikshanam
whose eyes.
Whose eyes
Yaviyasa,
Yaviyasa
Yana.
Yana
Very beautiful.
Very beautiful
Sapta,
Sapta
7.
7
Sutan,
Sultan
sons.
Sons
Sapta,
Sapta
7.
7
Dravida,
Dravida
province of Dravida,
Province of Dravida
or South India.
of South India
Bhu,
Bhu
of the land.
of the land
Brita,
Brita
kings.
Kings.
Translation by Sri Prabhupada. King Malayadvaj fathered one daughter who had very black eyes. He also had 7 sons, who later became rulers of the tract of land known as Dravida. Thus, there were 7 kings in that land. Forward. King Malayadvaja was a great devotee, and after he married the daughter of King Vidarbha, he gave her one nice daughter, whose eyes were black. Figuratively, this means that the daughter of King Malayadvaj was also bestowed with devotional service. You know why?
Because he was very wonderful devotee.
For her eyes were always fixed on Krishna, because they are black. This is, Prabhupada explains it. A devotee has no vision in his life other than Krishna. The 7 zones are the 7 processes of devotional service: hearing, chanting, remembering, offering worship, offering prayers, rendering transcendental loving services, and serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Of the 9 types of devotional service, only 7 were immediately given. The balance, friendship and surrendering everything, were to be developed later. In other words, devotional service is divided into 2 categories, namely Vidhi-marg and Raga-marg. The process of becoming friends with the Lord and sacrificing everything for Him belongs to the category of Raga-marg, the stage of developed devotional service. For the neophyte, the important processes are those of hearing and chanting, Shravanam Kirtanam, remembering Krishna, worshipping the deity in the temple, offering prayers, always engaging in the service of the Lord, and worshipping the lotus feet of the Lord. The word Yavyasa indicates that these processes are very powerful. After a devotee engages in the processes of Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasyam, and is able to secure these processes, he can later become a devotee capable of rendering spontaneous devotional service, namely Sakyam and Atmanivedanam. Generally, the great acharyas who preach devotional service all over the world belong to the category of Sakyam Atmanivedanam. A neophyte devotee cannot become a preacher. The neophyte is advised to execute devotional service in the 7 other fields, Shravanam, Kirtanam, etc. If one can successfully execute the preliminary 7 items, he can in the future be situated on the platform of Sakyam Atmanivedanam. The specific mention of Dravida Desh refers to the 5 Dravida kleshas in South India. All are very strong in rendering the preliminary devotional processes, Shravanam, Kirtanam. Some great acharyas, like Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya, came from Dravida Desh and became great preachers. They were all situated on the platform of Sakyam Atmanivedanam. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, our beloved Shri Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, as this is not perfect anymore, has mentioned the following. At the beginning of every speaking, singing or any harikatha, it is mandatory rule that we should remember our spiritual master, we should remember our senior Vaishnavas, who played an important role in our movement, and we should remember Krishna. What do we get out of this Mangalacharanam? All auspiciousness is guaranteed, and all inauspiciousness is removed. This is guaranteed. Let's offer our prayer to Guru Parampara before we begin. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Sakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. And then another. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Zagrachatam Sagana Raghunatam Mitam Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Stavadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitamscha. I read now also the English version because then we see exactly that all this what I taught before is fulfilled. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and of all the other preceptors on the path of devotional service. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas and unto the 6 Goswamis, including Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Raghunathas Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and their associates. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all his devotees, headed by Srivas Thakur. I then offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, Srimati Radharani, and all the gopis, headed by Lalita and Vishaka. Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutali Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Svapadantikam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishtaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paspatya Deshatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I would like to request the blessings of the senior Vaishnavas and all the devotees gathered here before I begin. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. When I first read this verse, also the last one, my first thought was, oh Krishna, how can I talk about these 4 lines for half an hour? I had no idea. With curiosity, I read Prabhupada's purport to hear what he has to say about this subject. In the verse it is mentioned that the 7 sons ruled the land of Dravida. Exactly where this land was located is not known today. However, Dravidian languages are still spoken in South India today. These include Tamil, Kannada, Telugu, and Malayalam. And although the narrative of King Puranjana is an allegory, historical facts and symbolic content seem to be mixed. How is this possible? I don't know. Of the 9 types of devotional service, only 7 were immediately given. The balance, friendship and surrendering everything were to be developed later. In other words, the devotional service is divided into 2 categories, namely Vidya Marg and Raga Marg. Therefore, we will now focus on the first 7 processes. who knows where this is spoken in Srimad Bhagavatam? These 9 processes.
Canto.
7 canto. And who spoke it?
Prahlad.
Yes. It's 7, 5, 23. And for us today, we will remember only the first 7. Why only the first 7?
Because we are on the Vidhi mark. We are primarily engaged on the Vidhi mark.
Yes, most of us, I think. That means these 7 are very important for us now, the rest will come later. Who can remember the first 7?
Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam.
And then who can give the translation in English?
Shravana means hearing, Kirtanam chanting or discussing, Shravanam, Smaranam remembering, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Padasevanam, which means serving the devotees or serving the interest of the Lord. Right? Vandanam, describing or discussing the glories of the Lord. Vandanam, Shravanam, Kirtanam.
Archanam. Vandanam is praying, no?
Praying, yes.
Because Kirtanam is describing the glories.
And Archanam, deity worship.
For all of you don't know this role and explanation of it, I made a small paper that you can learn it. Because it's very important to know these 7 processes. It's very easy. You can fold it like that, and then you can remember, or you can turn forward and back, or you can sit together with somebody and ask somebody if he knows it or not. I will give it after. And for the ones who know already everything, they should also learn which person in the Bhagavatam fulfilled one of these processes in full, you know. There are also 7 persons mentioned, but I have not here. Somebody knows it?
Shravanam is Parikshit.
Yes. And Shravanam, this is what I'm doing actually now. Next.
Kirtanam is Shukadev Goswami.
No, sorry, Shravanam, we are all doing this. And Kirtanam, again?
Shukadev. Shukadev Goswami.
Yes. Then Smarana. Padasevana. Who?
Lakshmi Devi.
Lakshmi.
Arjuna.
Ritu.
I don't know. You ask me what.
You have it on your paper?
No.
That's not good.
I saw not somebody who did anything know it. I could figure it out, but I didn't. Also, Pritu Maharaj, Archana, Vandana, offering prayers. Nobody knows?
Bali Maharaj, no.
Palma is Atmanideva.
That's the last one, but it's not in this 7.
Gajendra.
Huh?
Gajendra.
No, I don't know actually. And Dasyan, becoming the servant. That means everybody has some homework, huh? Even you know it? Huh? Huh? No. Anyway.
I have it here now.
Yes.
Akrura. Vandanam is Akrura.
Ah yes, of course. When he left Vrindavan.
And Dasyam is Hanuman.
Das ist Hanuman. Okay?
And Ambarish Maharaj is all man.
Yes. Good. Because these two very important acharyas, which was mentioned in the purport, who remembered its name?
Ramanuja and Madhva.
Yes, and Madhvacharya is mentioned in our Sampradaya. What's the name of our Sampradaya? Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya, Sampradaya. Madhva. Therefore I want, and Prabhupada said all these big preachers were all situated on the platform of Sakyam Atmanivedanam. Also, that's the highest level. And I want to read now few incidents from Madhvacharya's life. And it's very interesting to see on which level they are. And then we know, most of us, we are not on this platform yet. Once Madhvacharya was on the way in the Himalayas with his disciples, and then he heard a voice, and some of his devotees heard it. Vyasadeva was calling him to the upper Badrinath, also our Vyasadeva, the compiler of all the Vedas. Also it never happened to me. No. To the upper Badrinath. Who was in Badrinath? You? This was the lower Badrinath, I think. There is an upper Badrinath, that's very interesting. Where no one can go. So Madhvacharya said, I am going to the highest peaks on the transcendental plains of the Himalayas where no human can go. But I am going. And these devotees were really worried. We may never see you again. Let us come with you. He said, no, you cannot come with me. But Satyatirtha came with him anyway. Madhvacharya was walking. He was walking through the snow of these high, high mountains. He was walking fast. But he always slowing down because Satyatirtha was running and running. And he couldn't breathe and he was falling in the snow. And he was completely exhausted and he could not take it another step. And he's just looking up ahead and he's seeing his guru just enthusiastically moving forward. Madhvacharya was a very strong man, very beautiful. So Madhvacharya turned back to Satyatirtha and smiled, and with one wave of his hand, he went like this, and instantly Satyatirtha was back at the lower Badrinath with all his god brothers. He just was there. It's not that he flew. He just was there. And he was telling all his god brothers what our Gurudev is doing. Madhvacharya didn't have to slow down for anyone. He just walked and walked and walked like Hanumanji. And ultimately, he became to a place after walking for days to total snow, wilderness, and he came to the spiritual world. He walked like Hanumanji. You know why this is Hanumanji is called here? Yes. He was a son of Vayu and Madhvacharya also. It means it's the same person actually. Hanuman and Madhvacharya. Within these highest peaks of Himalayas was a transcendental world. I always was wondering when we hear, that Vyasadeva is still living in the Himalaya and other saints also, but this is not this Himalaya we find on this planet. This is higher on. You can't even see it unless you are given the eyes to see. There were lakes and beautiful trees, especially Badri trees. I don't know. You know Badri tree? It was in Badrinath, and you should know it.
I saw it.
You saw? And there were hundreds and hundreds of completely enlightened yogis, and they were all sitting around Vyasadeva. And he was brought to meet Vyasadeva, whom he accepted as his own guru. He offered his prostrated obeisances, and Vyasadeva was so pleased to see Madhvacharya. His determination, his love, his devotion, his compassion, he lifted up Madhvacharya and embraced him. And for many days Madhvacharya sat at the feet of Vedavyas to hear from him. And Vyasadeva said, "Let us go to see Lord Narayan, who is also living here." And he took him even higher, where 3 of them, Vyasadeva, Narayan and Madhava, sat together. You see, it is a completely different world. And Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who lives there in his abode along with Vyasadeva, they explain to Shripad Madhvacharya the true essence of the Brahma Sutras, and not only explained, empowered, but instructed him to write his commentary. This is one of his, and then a small thing from his childhood. One day Madhvacharya picked up a stick and approached his father, stating that he had finished his studying and aspired to widely preach the conclusions of Vaishnavism by refuting the philosophy of Mayavad, Advaita. His father ridiculed him, saying that if an ordinary little boy like him could refute Mayavad and preach widely, then even the stick in his hand could perhaps transform into a huge tree. Madhvacharya took his father's words literally, and to refute him, planted the stick onto the ground. To everyone's astonishment, the stick immediately blossomed into a giant banyan tree. This tree is still visible at Vachaka Kshetra, reminding everyone of the glories of Madhvacharya. This is another Leela from a great devotee. There are more, but time is actually already over. If somebody has some comment or questions, he can ask. If he trusts me. You have? Trust, I know.
I had a comment.
Oh yes, please.
Thank you, Vrindavan Chandra. I found it very interesting how in the purport Prabhupada says how great acharyas that preach all throughout the world are on the platform of Sakhyam or Atmanivedana. So in a way for us it's nice to realize how Srila Prabhupada also is on the platform of Sakhyam or Atmanivedana. So Prabhupada himself affirms that. That's very nice. And also when you mentioned the last pastime of Pajaka Kshetra, where Madhvacharya planted the stick, and I was there personally.
Yes.
And then you can see young boys are being trained as Brahmana. I mean, they come from Brahmana. But it's so powerful. If you visit that place, you can really feel the power.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of my favorite places because there they follow a very rudimentary lifestyle. Everything is very to the ground, and also it's this Gurukul atmosphere that we talk about, it's very strongly present there. And you can really see, even the young kids, they are so bright. They look like acharyas actually. Because they're always studying. They always, even when we were visiting them, they were so absorbed in their study. So it was very impressive.
This is also in South India.
No, this is not in South India. This maybe. And now I get mixed up where exactly it is. Udupi, yeah.
Udupi, this is South India.
Yes, we went with Radhanath Maharaj. Yes.
Yes.
Radhanath Maharaj took a yatra to Udupi, then we went. And it's very powerful. Pujakshetra.
Yes, somebody else? No. Okay. So let's stop this guy. Thank you so much for listening. And now I give you this small paper.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I will not ask you in 1 week, but still I give it to you. One thing is, whenever you do something during the day, and you can connect it with one of these 7, then you know you are on the right path. If not, then you do something only for you. Can you? But we're all enjoyment actually.
When will the exam?
Huh?
When will the exam?
You can ask somebody and then show him that you know enough.
His Grace Vrindavan Chandra Dasa.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Das was indirekt im Blitz.
So many times they say how Prabhupada doesn't count on voice.
But some people say like this.
Yeah.
Ja, das ist wie viel so, even nicht besonders aus. Like Father. That part you can do it again.
You have one more like this?
Yes, you gave me the last one. Yeah, the only 7. And that is good.
Desire change.
No. In the purpose of
No, I think it's an article.
No, this is only very
Should I write down Sattva and Ananda Vivedana also? Can you have everything?
the next 2. This is Padina, Paditi, yes, there is. So, yeah, now it's complete. Yeah, thank you, Rajan.
you. And you want to sit again?
What?
Huh?
No, I haven't. Almost done. Thank you. Jai